right, I'm going to teach you how I do the Dragonscale smocking technique. And what you're going to want to start with is a piece of generally woven material, something heavyweight or medium weight, nothing too lightweight, at least while you're practicing this. And you don't want a lot of stretch in either of the directions. So this is a plain cotton canvas, a little bit thicker than what you might find with a muslin, but this is what we're going to be working with today. So the first thing with this technique is to find the grain line of your fabric. So with this, we have a selvage edge, so that gives us a little bit of an idea. But basically your grain line is whatever the warp threads are doing in your fabric, or if you're using a knit, the direction of the knit of the fabric. That's your grain line, generally. Your diagonal from your grain line is your bias. So first, we're just finding our grain line. I'm using the selvage edge to be my basically my straight edge here. And I'm using an erasable pen or a heat erasable pen for this. And this actually goes away with an iron. All right, so now that I have my vertical line here, this is my grain line, then I'm going to go basically 45 degrees off of that. All right, so what I'm going to do from here is create lines along this axis, the diagonal axis across the bias of the fabric. And for this one, I'm just going to do 1-inch squares. That's the current size I'm using on my project. So I'll do 1-inch squares on here, 1-inch markings, and then we will move on to the actual smocking technique. All right, so at this point we have our grid on the back. So this is going to be the wrong side of our fabric, by the way. What I'm going to do now is create little dots in every other square on a diagonal line. So I'll just do like an X here, and then skipping a row diagonally, I'm going to put the other X there. So this is going to guide me as to which of these scales are getting pulled in, like what corners of each of these squares. Because without that information, it gets very confusing very quickly. So we're not going to be smocking in every single square here, but what we will be doing, just take this one for example, this corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner are going to be cinched in and pulled tight. So these 4 points are going to come together on each of these squares. When you're working this technique, you want to use a thread that is similar, if not the same color as your working fabric, the fashion fabric, if you will. So if this were, say, lined or backed, you'd want to use whatever color was on the outside, on the fashion side of your material. So I've just threaded up a sewing needle with some white polyester thread. And when I do this technique, I like to work from the corner up. If I try to go across this way, it creates lines right across the back. If I do it this way, I can cut and restart each row. And between the rows, it actually disappears. The thread disappears between the other squares. So I'm gonna start down here. And all this technique is going into a corner, going into the next corner, and I'm right on the edge here, so I'm kind of going in closer than I would. And I'm just grabbing a few threads in each corner. Not too many, but not too few. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to come back to the first corner to complete that square, like so. Gently, I'm going to pull those threads taut together, and it creates a little pouch, basically. This is kind of like the water bomb base in origami. And then to finish it off, I just tie a little knot. And then in this case, I'm going to snip since I'm done with that row and move on to row number 2. So I'm retying my knot here. I'm going to start in this corner. Move to this corner. And again, I'm going around the corners on the squares that have the X mark in them. These are our smocking squares. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, coming back around to the first one to close it off and not sewing through my finger. Always use a sharp needle, folks. Just pull tight. You don't want to pull too tight when you're using sewing thread, because you can pop it off, like you can snap it. So you just want it tight enough that it actually pulls things close. So I'm on row 2 still. I'm moving from right to left, and I'm starting in the corner adjacent to the last smocking that we just did. So, and I don't want to pull tight between. That's for the actual smocking bit. I'm going to go around that square. Corner 4, back to corner 1, and gently pull taut. All of the smocking is done now, and it's time to flip it over and create the actual scales. So this is what the back looks like, and this is what the front currently looks like. So how we turn these into scales is by manipulating each of these smocks into basically a water bomb base from origami, fold it down, and iron it in place. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Move this out of the way. You can see my disgusting ironing board. And since this is cotton, I have my cotton setting on. And I usually like to start at the bottom. So like this one is really kind of difficult, but I can at least get some of the fold in. And same on this side. That's how you create the Dragonscale smocking on a small scale. When you want to expand on this, all you need is a fabric that is 2 times as wide as what you want your finished Dragonscale to be. So hopefully that quick and dirty explanation helps. If you enjoy it, let me know down below. Thanks for watching.